The diplomatic hall of the draconian mothership gleamed with crystalline walls that pulsed with bioluminescent veins. Maya stood at attention, her human ambassador uniform pressed and perfect, though her eyes betrayed the sleepless night she'd endured. Beside her, 7-year-old Essa clutched her hand, his small fingers trembling. The dragon chief, Vexthor, towered 3 meters above them, his obsidian scales catching the filtered starlight. His species had ruled this sector of space for millennia, their massive forms and plasma-breathing capabilities making them apex predators across 17 systems. Humans were the newcomers here, small, soft, breakable. "Ambassador Maya?" Vexthor's voice rumbled like distant thunder. "The treaty negotiations will commence in precisely—" Essa released his mother's hand. In one fluid motion, the boy darted forward, his small hands finding purchase on the ornate battle armor that adorned Vexthor's lower thorax. The dragon chief froze, his triple-lidded eyes widening in what could only be described as shock. In 3,000 years of military service, no one had dared touch him uninvited. "Your dragon made my mom cry all night," Essa said, his voice clear and unwavering despite the tears streaming down his cheeks. The chamber fell silent. 6 other dragon dignitaries shifted on their massive haunches, claws scraping against the polished floor. Maya's heart stopped. Human-draconian relations hung by a thread, and her son had just grabbed the equivalent of an intergalactic warlord. But Essa didn't let go. "Mom wouldn't tell me why," the boy continued, his knuckles white against the armor. "But I heard her through the walls. She cried for hours, and I know it was because of yesterday's meeting with your second commander, Drathkal." Vexthor's nostril slits flared, smoke curling from them. To Maya's surprise, he slowly lowered his massive head until his eyes, each the size of Essa's entire face, were level with the boy. "Explain, small human," Maya found her voice. "Chief Vexthor, I apologize." "No." Vexthor raised one clawed appendage, silencing her. "Let the offspring speak." Essa's grip tightened. "Yesterday, Drathkal told my mom that humans don't deserve to colonize the Epsilon planets. He said we're too weak, too short-lived, too emotional. He said we cry at everything, and that makes us pathetic." The boy's voice cracked, but he pushed forward. "My mom didn't cry because she's weak. She cried because she spent 3 years preparing our proposal. She cried because 700 human families are living in cramped generation ships, waiting for permission to land. She cried because she's trying so hard to make you understand that we're not asking for charity. We're offering partnership." Vexthor's expression was unreadable, but something shifted in his ancient eyes. "And you know what?" Essa's voice grew stronger. "My mom didn't cry in front of Drathkal. She stayed professional. She thanked him for his time. She bowed properly like you guys taught her. She held it all in until we got back to our quarters because that's what humans do. We feel everything, but we keep going anyway." The boy finally released the armor, his small hands falling to his sides. "Drathkal said emotions make us weak. But my teacher back on the colony ship said emotions make us human. And being human means we care about 700 families more than we care about being called pathetic." Maya wanted to sweep Essa into her arms and flee, but she stood frozen, watching the dragon chief process her son's words. Vexthor straightened to his full height. When he spoke, his voice carried a resonance that made the walls vibrate. "Drathkal, attend." A smaller dragon, though still twice Maya's height, emerged from the delegation, his scales a deep crimson. He approached with military precision, but there was uncertainty in his gait. "You told the human ambassador that her people were too emotional?" Vexthor asked. "Yes, Chief. I was merely stating, you were wrong." The chamber erupted in shocked hisses from the other dragons. Maya's translator implant struggled to keep up with the overlapping vocalizations. Vexthor's tail swept in a wide arc, demanding silence. For 3,000 years, I have led our people through wars, famine, and the collapse of stars. I have seen species rise and fall, and I will tell you what I have learned. Those who feel nothing have nothing worth fighting for. He turned back to Essa, lowering his head once more. Young human, your mother earned my respect through her diligence and knowledge, but you have earned it through your courage. You gripped the armor of someone who could incinerate you with a breath, and you spoke truth to power. Do you know why dragons wear battle armor? Essa shook his head, wiping his eyes. Because even we need protection. Even we acknowledge our vulnerabilities. Vexthor's voice softened, as much as a dragon's voice could soften. Your mother cried because she cares. And caring is not weakness. It is the foundation of civilization. The dragon chief stood, his armor catching the light. Ambassador Maya, your proposal for the Epsilon colonies is approved. Your people may begin settlement preparations immediately. Maya's knees nearly buckled. Chief Vexthor, I thank you. Thank your offspring. He reminded me why we form alliances in the first place. Vexthor's gaze swept across his delegation. We dragons pride ourselves on strength, on fire, on dominion. But this human child demonstrated something we have forgotten. Strength without compassion is merely brutality. As the diplomatic proceedings formally concluded, Essa returned to his mother's side. Maya knelt, pulling him into a tight embrace. That was either the bravest or the most foolish thing you've ever done, she whispered. You taught me to stand up for what's right, Essa replied, even when it's scary. Later, as they walked back through the corridors of the mothership, Vexthor's voice echoed behind them through the translation system. Ambassador, your species may be small and short-lived, but never mistake brevity for insignificance. Candles burn brighter than stars, if only for a moment. Maya squeezed Essa's hand. 700 families would soon have a home, and all because a little boy refused to let his mother's tears be dismissed as weakness. In the vast darkness of space, humanity had found its foothold, not through superior technology or military might, but through the simple, profound act of caring enough to speak up. That night, in their quarters, Maya didn't cry. Instead, she smiled as Essa fell asleep. Exhausted from his diplomatic triumph, tomorrow they would begin preparations for the colony. Tomorrow, a new chapter of human-dragon cooperation would begin. But tonight, she simply held her son and marveled at the courage that resided in such a small frame. After all, size had never been humanity's strength. Heart was.